Good to go.
It's just done with an iPad, and then it has some additional diagnostic equipment. So it's just through an app, so it's through a secure app that connects at the clinic with a provider, and it would be one of our local providers. And so there's lots of people doing this in other school districts, but they're outside providers, they're not local providers, they're just coming in and providing a telehealth service to school districts. And there's been a lot of good research, and you guys can look that up too if y'all want to, but to help with attendance, to help with people with chronic asthma, that has type 1 diabetes, those kiddos that maybe because of transportation or cost or just some kind of barrier to healthcare are just not getting the services that they need. And so sometimes managing those adds some value to the school district for sure. But this is just a little unit, and it's a really cool little unit. It Bluetooths to the iPad, and with attachments, it can listen to the heart, so a stethoscope, heart and lungs. And so the provider on the other end can hear heart and lungs. They can do an otoscope, so looking in the child's ear, and it can display on the screen. This also takes temperature, and then there's also a tone depressor that can it's a camera and a light that views it to the throat so that they can see that. So our docs, obviously just country docs, haven't loved the idea of telehealth. In fact, I've had to push them a little bit because they want to see patients, they want to touch patients, and that's really the very best care that anybody can ask for. But unfortunately, and really I think you'll see as commercial insurance has progressed, telehealth is going to be available. And if we don't get in the game, then we're going to be losing a share of the market. And so because of that, I've just encouraged them to really support this to some degree. And prior to the pandemic, the rural health clinics couldn't bill for telehealth. It wasn't an available option for us. With the pandemic, it did open it up for us. And then there's been some foundational things laid so that we know ongoing we're going to be able to, Texas Medicaid is still recognizing telehealth, and then all commercial plans are recognizing telehealth. So we still don't know how Medicare is going to do, but in the school districts, it's not as huge of a concern. That payer is less of an issue in the public school system. So we wanted to start here with a big telehealth initiative, and then we likely, and we still use telehealth a little bit just in the clinic, but this would be our big first push at reaching a demographic that we'd really like to help partner with. And so it's exciting. I think with this demographic, we're also going to provide the school nurses with additional testing. Y'all may already have COVID tests. If they didn't have COVID tests, we would provide those. Strep test, flu test, urine analysis, so that between the diagnostic testing as well as the point of care testing, we should be able to have the most information possible to make the telehealth visit as good as it can possibly be. So anyway, that really is the nuts and bolts. We plan to look at, I think in your packets today are the sample BAA that we've done, which it's just a business associate agreement that covers all the HIPAA components that we need covered from that perspective, and then also just an agreement between the school district and CCMC if y'all wanted to partner on this, and so that we can get started. And then next steps would be just deciding with Dr. Marable and the administrative team how to roll it out to the students and the staff. And we're also going to make this available to staff as well, so students and staff. So that will be an additional opportunity. And in the other school districts, we've already seen staff actually using it, prior to the students using it. So I think it will be successful. I think it'll start slow and it will continue to grow as we gain, people's trust and understand what we're going to do here. We're going to try to see kiddos within about 30 minutes, of being presented to the nurses station so that it's quick and convenient. And in most cases, sometimes they can just go back to class and not have to even be sent home if they're not contagious. And so that's another benefit to keeping them in school. And obviously keeping them in school has a correlation on their grades that also correlates to graduation. So when you look at the statistics of keeping kiddos in school, there's some significant statistics that show that this is really, really positive. And lots of urban schools, they've already done this. And Amerigroup, who we partnered with for this, which is a big Medicaid provider in the urban and rural areas, they have rolled it out all over Dallas in school districts and partnered with Dallas Children's. And so that's, we're being able to benefit off of their program, and she's rolling this out to us as a rural pilot here. So I think we do see we're underserved from a medical standpoint to some degree, and for sure a mental health standpoint. And we can also offer mental health services on this if there's a kiddo that is in need of a mental health visit, a counseling visit of some kind, then this can also be utilized for that if that's something that's agreed upon. And I think at the beginning again, we'll try to get a blanket authorization from the parent that they wanna participate in this type of a program. But then when they present to Megan, then we would like for her to call and make sure that the parent wants to do a visit that day. So it's kind of a double, check, but we wanna get, and I don't know if we include them, but we did do a specific consent for telehealth in general. And then that day, she'll check with the parent and just make sure, that it's okay to be seen. And we are really encouraging, if not, we may decide as a school district that we can require the parents to be there. That would be my preference, is that the parent is able to be patched in, at least one of the parents able to be patched into the visit. They can hear it, they can, see what's going on and see what the provider says. So, anyway, I know we've got local pharmacies also that can deliver, but, we have also done a thing where we can deliver to kiddos' homes, if that's what the parent needs. And certainly, I think AJ also delivers, so that's perfect too. So wherever they go, I think we can facilitate making sure they get their medicines taken care of as well, so.
One of the things that I'm super glad it would be available if the board decides to do it for staff, because sometimes staff just needs to run out of the hospital, but that leaves a class unattended, so it would be really convenient for that, as well as for students.
Yes.
It seems though that this is going to put another layer onto Megan, and she already covers 3 campuses.
Right.
Is there a stipend that, because this is income neutral as far as the school district, we get nothing from it.
Right, yeah.
Except maybe increasing attendance and for both staff and students.
Yes.
Is there anything that's?
So right now, we don't have anything in place. I can certainly think about that and try to come up with an idea. It's honestly as easy enough where it doesn't require a nurse to do it. I mean, it can be done by, it's so easy.
It would be somebody.
Absolutely, it would be somebody. I'm just thinking if she was, and we do just have this one, if we needed to put more campuses, because she's just one person, we thought this backpack, they do have a stationary kind of, where we, can put those out, stationary units, but because she's mobile, we've done this. And so I guess as it gets busier, we haven't gotten super busy at the other campuses, and so it hasn't been much time on, it's just hard to know exactly how busy it's going to be and how well supported it's going to be and how much to allocate to that. But that's certainly something that I can think on, and maybe you and I can visit about how we might can structure something like that to make it work for both of us. So yeah, I'm open. It's new for all of us, and so I do think, I think you'll be pleased too with attendance, with the increase of attendance if we get a really good push for the utilization of it. Any questions for me, or thoughts, or concerns? We've tried to think of everything, but there's certainly things as we.
How much is a private pay visit?
We've 75 if they have no insurance.
And so would you guys be the ones that bill the family?
Yes.
It's not gonna come through the school at all?
No. We'll reach out to them ahead of the visit and either collect a copay or at least make payment arrangements. And that's on my letter too, that we're trying to be really transparent about that. It's not a free service, but it is something that's billable to all insurances. And of course Medicaid, will pay 100%. So all those kiddos that have Medicaid services, will really have any requirement to have any out-of-pocket expense.
The only thing that I saw when I was reading through it was it looked as if there would be a great deal of paperwork to be done by the district. Who's gonna handle all of that?
So after the contracts are signed, I don't believe the paperwork is gonna rest on the parent to provide us the information, like demographic information. There's probably a bit of that. I am looking into trying to make that electronic, where we can send that out via text and then be able to do that electronically. I know as a parent of 4 children, I don't want to fill this out 4 times, and so I think that's important to me. So I'm working on that part. But as far as the paperwork on the school district part, the only thing I really need is the distribution of the paperwork, and then we'll come back and collect all of it, and then do our data entry and really, having the paperwork ahead of time for the students is the most important thing, because if they don't have a consent at all, then me getting them, trying to fax it or scan it to the parent, getting them to fill it out prior to the visit being done, it just becomes kind of a logistical delay. And so if we can have this, kind of general consent first, and I'm hoping that we can kind of when that time comes, or we can hopefully get that electronically, distributed in some way, you know, at the beginning of school, so that we can just have it one time.
So it wouldn't be overwhelming for her to look up, does this child have permission? Do we have permission for them? Do they have Medicaid? Do they have,
Yeah,
it just seemed like a great deal. I think sick kids don't learn, so it's good to have it.
sure.
But I also don't want it to be this mound of paperwork.
So what the other school district has done is they've just kept a list of enrollment by campus, and they've just highlighted the kiddos that have returned those papers to the school district, and then have done the consent. They don't really have to worry about Medicaid and all of that stuff. We'll take care of all of that. There's not any necessary, so really just highlighting those kiddos that have consented to it is really the bulk of what we need. That way she knows. That's really just so that she knows from quick glance that the kiddo has, or the parents have consented to the service.
And then she'd have to make the phone call too.
Right, and then make the phone call to the parent.
Well, honestly, so, we get a packet every year as parents that we have to fill out, that's got.
Of
a lot.
Yes,
Yes, I do, so adding one more piece of paper to that would probably not be a big deal.
But I get it, I feel.
And if someone didn't sign up in the beginning, there wouldn't be any problem signing up later on.
Not at all, no, you can sign up whenever.
I wonder if we could put it on the website, some kind of like form parents could just go on and fill out and then go directly to CCC, consent form, demographic, all of it in one.
At least we could have a download of
A
some kind,
download,
yeah,
okay.
that they could print out and fill out and return. So, yeah, absolutely. And I could give an email address where it could be, I don't know, but we can work out some of those things, so, yeah.
How long have you had it going in our neighborhood?
Lovely. We've been, about 6 weeks now, that we've been, and we've met with, we did extensive training for the nurses there, but nurse will do that here, and just even walk hand in hand, with them through those first visits, just to make sure kids really comfortable, but it's so easy, it's really not hard at all. And then our providers as well, we're gonna try to, like at Dublin, we're trying to look at that clinic there and see if they have availability, trying to utilize those providers there. But if they don't, we really want the kiddo to be seen within 30 minutes, and so we have 16 providers at my disposal, so somewhere I'm gonna find a spot and get them in, so,
So if
that's.
you're waiting in line out there, you'll know they're.
That's right, that's not prioritizing kiddos in school, yeah, that might be, but anyway, yeah. So, any other questions or thoughts?
Is telehealth a covered service of the insurance that the school has offered?
It would be just the copay,
Yeah.
well, unless it's something else, but it would be the copay.
And we hope even to expand, right now we're kind of looking at acute visits and possibly mental health visits, and even, chronic asthma and things like that, but we hope to be able to add value like in preventative stuff, maybe even figuring out a way we can do vaccinations. That gets a little trickier with, the Vaccine for Children program and transportation and stuff like that, so we're not quite there, but I think there's some opportunities for us to grow from a preventative, even nutrition counseling and some different things like that I'm excited about maybe adding as we progress through this, so I think there's some good opportunities.
One of the things we've talked about several times, but never been able to make it work, is to have some kind of clinic before school starts to get those
Yes.
immunizations that have to be
Yes.
done, so it's
Yes.
not bleed into something.
Right, I'd be up for it, and I'd figure out how to work the logistics. I mean, I've looked at it a number of times, it just really requires us to purchase some kind of a transportation device that's logged, so a cooler. But yes, we would probably be very open to that, so.
Lori, don't you already have a sort of a telecounseling ability?
We have it in all
All
schools.
campuses.
Mhm.
All right, well, if y'all want me to stay around, if not, I can slip out. I don't know what y'all's usual agenda is.
If there's no other questions, it's up to you.
Okay.
I'll give you a call.
Thank you so
tomorrow.
much.
Sounds good,
Talk about
it sounds good. All right, thank y'all. Thank you. She's three kids at home, she's gonna go.
Now we'll move us back up to item 5, which is the consent agenda.
I'll just remind you that probably we'll have to do a budget amendment at the end of the year to make it all work.
Okay, if no questions or discussion, entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Second. A motion by Carrie and a second by Heath for approval as presented. All those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, section 6, discussion. First item is campus reports and program reviews.
Here we go. Okay. We're very busy as usual, and everybody enjoyed the great full Thanksgiving break. All the students came back, I was telling him, he was asking how our day was, I said, well, I think everyone was very subdued. They were just like, oh, we're tired. But everything's going really well. It's that time of the year where we're getting close to that halfway point, so we're getting geared up to do benchmark testing, see what type of growth the students are making. One of the things that's heavy on all of our minds are the new STAR test. There's been a lot of changes there, so I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to share some of that with you, and I laid these up here on the top of your desk. One of the things, I've brought just a sample of 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So if you take a look at the 3rd grade reading language arts, this to me is our largest concern at this point. Writing has never, even as a state, been a strong suit for anyone. We generally always score higher than the state and the district, in the region, district. However, no matter what the Commissioner of Education says, he has taken what was a 4th grade writing test, and it is now everyone's writing test. So just in looking at this very top part of this, where it says base test, if you look at that, it says students will have 2 single reading passages, a paired reading passage, that's 2 passages read together, so we're up to 4 stories they would have to read so far. The writing section of the base test will have 2 revising passages. There's 2 more stories they have to read. Then they have 2 editing passages. There's 2 more. We're up to 8. Then if you look at field test, that adds another story, unless they have to get a paired passage, which means now they have to read 10 stories. That's a lot for a 3rd grader. That is not to mention the changes that have taken place there. So if you look, that also means they have 1 constructed response. They also have to write an essay. So in that, online, typing. So in one of the things that I said and watched with the commissioner, they'll let you type in and ask questions, so I just asked, how will students learn how to type? That's what I was gonna ask, because I'm like from back in typewriter days, so it was.
We got it in high school.
Yes,
And I learned
when
it.
do you teach them how to type?
So this is the response I got, typing without tears. Well, that's fine, I can find programs to help students to type, however, I can't find the time. So that's an
Or
issue.
the time for them to become proficient enough to do it.
Well, we all know, students, I had a teacher send a note home, and it was typed up beautifully in cursive font. And I wanted to send it back and say, I don't know the age of your parents, but half of them won't be able to read this note you're sending home. Because guess what? We teach it, but it's just like typing. You don't have enough time to master it, because until you are not allowed to print, you're going to keep printing. So you can pass out all the writing practice you want to, and kids can practice, but until you say you're not allowed to write and print, they will never master it, because they're not forced to. So, but with that being said, the other problem that we're having, that if you turn, here are all the new question types over in blue, and that's the same for every single grade level. This is all the way, through, yeah, 11th grade. So, there's quite a list there. Normally, the questions were multiple choice, A, B, C, D, that was it. That's all they did. So if you look at those, it is quite a long list of different types, but the commissioner assures kids are going to love it, and it's just like they learn. Yes. So, the problem with this is, how do you incorporate this day to day, not just showing kids, they have to actually practice it themselves online. So, we have someone coming on the 3rd, okay? Mrs. Wright is coming on the 3rd to kind of go over some different things that teachers can incorporate in the classroom, but I will go ahead and tell you, as an ex-teacher, here's the thing with all those things. You have to design it yourself. So, let's say you read a passage and you're wanting to ask questions that match this format. You're going to have to go in and do that yourself. So again, it's time. You know, that you're going to have to come up with ways, oh, how do I have a hot text? How do I do a drag and drop? So because the students do need exposure to those things, so it is time consuming. So we do have resources for that, but again, it does take time. So you just take a look at the 3rd grade reading test. This is only just a small sample. So this would be an example of one story. So just imagine this times 10 that they're having to read. And you can tell by looking at the,
And the time restraint has been removed, correct?
yes, they'll be there, we're gonna have to pick up at 9 that night. We're gonna pick them up. There are also extended response, where they also have to type those on top of writing an essay. So again, more time there. I always love, if you'll notice, like the one that says part A, part B. If you get part A wrong, you've missed the whole thing. If you get part B right, they don't care, you missed that one. You have to get part A right to get credit for that. If you'll notice, there's many that are pick 2. You know what I mean? It's not,
So for the multi-select, if you do not pick more than one correct answer, you're wrong? Okay, great.
so I think that there may be some, Amber probably not, I think there's some you get partial
There's
credit
partial
for.
points on some of them,
Okay.
partial points on
That's-
not some of them.
And it's not supposed to let you move forward if you don't select
The
two.
right amount.
You have to do it before they let you.
So you're not gonna
Right.
accidentally just select
Right.
one.
But this is one of the parts that I really love, because this is on paper. What's this gonna look like on the computer? They're not going to have paper. So this is a whole, and I just have to remind that we're 8 and 9 years old. It doesn't get much better on the others, but to me, this is the biggest change because of the writing and the open-ended questions, but you have the same even on the math. So you can look through those, it's the same thing. As you look at this is a 4th grade math example. And you can look through and record your answer in the space below. Like, you have to type that in there, what the answer is.
Another writing.
Yeah,
And
you
so-
don't,
And they cannot write on their screens, correct?
no.
Like they used to be able to do their, you could work out the problem on the side and then you could erase it, but you can't finish.
They can have scratch paper though.
They can have scratch
Do
paper.
those, right, scratch
They can
paper,
scratch
yes.
paper.
You can have anything that can be
Oh, that's good.
destroyed or erased, like a lot of the kids like, expo markers, on the screen on the deck, anything that can be erased or shredded.
But anyway, I just thought it would be good for you to see, and see the stress that teachers and students alike are undergoing in trying to, figure all of this out. And you just imagine if it's this way for a 3rd grader, what it looks like
by the time you get in 8th grade. It's just a lot.
And I think this is just overwhelming to me to think about, but think about the kids that have not taken one of these tests online. We've taken our tests online for the last 2 years. But there are school districts in the state who have not done that, they continue to do paper pencil tests. So it's gonna be a double whammy for them. But this is my problem.
I don't even understand how they're going to score it, but I do know that, like, on the writing, whether it be an extended response or the essay, it's all based upon something they read in that test. So it's not like the old STAR test used to be, like, write about a time when you were sad, or write about whatever. It's not like that. So if you look at some of the examples, it's going to be based on a text that they read. And a lot of, like, persuasive, like, basically you have to choose a side, like, state your opinion, but part of your score comes from text evidence. So that is huge because, I'm sorry, for a 3rd grader, they can find lots of things in the text, but they just wanna pick any random thing and put quotation marks around it and say there's some text evidence. Well, it may not really prove your answer. So it's very challenging, but we're trudging through it, but I just keep saying everyone's in the same boat. We're not the only ones, that are struggling with this, but it's what we're
But the
dealing with.
commissioner does assure us on every turn of the road, every time we ask him, this test is not more difficult. This is the way they learn, and he's convinced.
Well, I didn't learn that since a 3rd grader, and guess what? I made it.
You did.
We're okay, but we don't get a choice. So we're dealing with the cards that we've been dealt, and luckily I have a lot of great teachers that are doing their very, very best to support their students and to help them be successful, so, anyway.
Thank
Any questions? Anybody want to volunteer to take it? All right, I'm presenting on board goal 3, CCMR.
This year, we are supposed to talk about your board goals, and so this is, Roy did the first ones last week, and this is.
So lofty goal, essentially by 2025, 100% of students will meet CCMR data criteria, which it's a lofty goal. We're currently at about 51% of our graduating class as of today that have met. We will continue to work to strive that in order to meet that criteria and the great volume of knowledge that's sitting in this room. Basically, you got an ACT, SAT, TSI test for college readiness, and then a more industrial-based certification, or obviously being in the military. It's a documentation that gets you under the criteria. So we got 51% of our students currently that met. We have 29 students that have taken it. Most of those come from dual credit or have already got a industrial-based certification. Okay? Students that don't meet that criteria that in spring semester will run through the Texas Bridge program. Okay? Some of the progress monitoring goals. One focuses on dual credit in math and English only. We do have students that take other dual credit courses, but that only measures these. Currently, right now, we have 17 students that are enrolled in a math or an English dual credit course. That's about 30%. What we're doing to kind of increase that percentage is we're working with getting our students prepared for dual credit, meaning they have to be a TSI certified. They have to pass the TSI test or ACT test before they take a college course. So we're working through the SureScore program, which is a slow process, kind of a trial and error kind of thing, but we're utilizing it. Essentially, the SureScore gives us an indicator that the student is ready to take the test. It's a pre-test kind of situation where we pre-test them, and if they test a green level, then that's kind of the level to say that they're ready to take the TSI test, and we give them the TSI test. If not, if they're the red or the yellow, then they run through a coursework. We're running those through some of our classes, partner with our teachers to do that. Other things we've done, we've moved running that TSI or the Sure Score and testing down a little bit. We will test right after Algebra 1 and right after English 2. That gives us more time to work with those students that don't meet that criteria through the Sure Score curriculum. Hopefully we'll get some kids going through that way, and I know Kay works really hard on getting kids. In fact, she had 3 that met today, and she keeps track of, they've passed math, they haven't passed, English, or they just need an essay on English, or just the multiple choice. She does a fantastic job for that. The other indicator would be the industrial certifications. Currently, right now, we have 9 programs of study. Of that, we have 3, 2 solid ones, the third one that's coming on, health science is coming on. That we have programs that have a certification after it, okay? And so what we're looking is I'm pursuing options right now to look how do we expand that. Meaning if we've got 9 programs of study, logistically, we need 9 certifications that come out of those programs of study, but there's some logistical, how do you make that happen? And so, I met with, had a conversation with Ms. Nowlin and also the Service Center on a company that, the Service Center's put forth at some of the meetings lately, that offers those certifications. They offer kind of a blueprint of the curriculum that leads up to those certifications, what a kid would need to know. And so we'll be ordering some of those and doing a crosswalk between our current curriculum and their blueprint curriculum to see, does it align, what kind of gaps do we have, and then is this a viable option to order these tests? It would be a 2-part test. One is essentially a knowledge test, the other one is an assessment, a performance test. And so what does it look like to do a performance test? I asked that specific question to the Service Center. They said you just use local people that are in that industry. They provide a rubric that person then grades the performance test by. And so we would partner with probably our CTE advisory committee, and on getting those people, if that's a viable option. But that's something that I've just started looking at probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And so it's still kind of working through that to hopefully increase these numbers, because at the end of the day, we gotta get them up. Our goal is to graduate kids that are not just graduates, but graduate plus, plus a plan, plus a path, something, have a plan on what you're doing. So, there's the numbers.
Thank you.
So I was asked to present on board goal number 4, which is De Leon ISD will strive for excellence in education by providing qualified staff, safe educational facilities, and by working in partnership with parents and communities to create a learning community dedicated to building respectful and responsible citizens. So there's 3 progress measures in that. Progress measure 1 is De Leon ISD will attract qualified staff who will engage in ongoing professional development in order to promote student performance, which exceeds state averages and prepare students for success in life. So this past summer, there were teachers from each campus that went to the Writing Academy training, which was a retreat in Crockett. And every person that went felt very good about that. I think they came away thinking that they had wonderful things to implement in their classroom this year. We have Amy Wright and Amy Katara that are from the Service Center. They continue to support our staff throughout the year. Sometimes it's in person, sometimes it's through email. There's different forms of communication that they use to support our staff on that. We felt that TIA is also a perk for our staff in our district, as other neighboring districts did not choose to participate in that. We did, thanks to Mrs. Womack. And so we felt that that was a good incentive for our teachers, that they can earn more money if they show the student growth and they're doing well in their observations. This past STAR test results, our district was above the region and the state in Domain 1 for the tested subjects. Goal progress measure 2, De Leon ISD will develop a partnership with parents and community to build a community of learners. I think this is something that we work very hard on throughout the school year. We start with the Meet the Teacher Day, open house, Title I meetings. We have many committees that include people with our parents and community members. We have the SHAC committee. Middle school and high school both have the student advisory committees. High school has the CTE advisory committee. We have the campus improvement committees at each campus, and then at the district level. We have the extracurricular activities. Our pep rallies, we have parents sign in, for participation on that. All campuses have class parties. Field trip opportunities that, elementary has included their parents to be able to go on some of those. Elementary has built in 2 parent meetings, into the year. They will be having a family night in December, and, we've done the STAR students at the elementary campus for several years, but now they have incorporated where parents can come and eat with their STAR student, and they get to sit on the stage. And then they also have opportunities for, parents to participate in the Booster Cats, which is their like PTO organization. At the middle school, we've done the student-led conferences, implemented those this year. We had our Glow Bingo Family Night, which was really fun, and we had a really good turnout and lots of people that were asking us when the next one was. We do the dances, the canned food drive, and the canned food drive is also at, the other campuses as well. One of the things that has been really neat is our nursing home visits that we do, and tomorrow our GT students will be going to the nursing home, towards the end of the day. They'll be interviewing, the residents there on 3 wishes that they have. And so, if you watch TikTok, there's some TikToks like that, and I thought it was really cute, and it's, to me, it's a good lesson for students to see, you know, what that phase of your life looks like and what your wishes are then compared to what your wishes are as a middle school student. We also started last year, and we're gonna continue it this year and try to build onto it, but getting our community businesses involved with like the changing of the tire and learning how to do floral design and go into the different businesses around. There's a lot to learn in our small community. So we have that as well. And our student council members will be participating in rigging up the Salvation Army bell, starting in a couple of weeks. The high school also has just recently had a job fair. Do you wanna kind of talk about that?
Yeah, it
for a
was a
second?
career job fair. Kay, did you help with that? Was it?
No, it's Mindy.
Mindy, and we
Miss
partnered with
Julia.
Miss Julia with the Texas Workforce Commission and the CTE Advisory Committee. Brought in some local businesses, and they just talked through, you know, local industry kind of opportunities, once kids graduate. And then we also, Texas Workforce did some stuff with some VR headsets. I'm not sure exactly what they were doing, but kids were rolling around, kind of lost, it looked like, but, it was quite comical on our camera system, because they were back in the lab, but they did some stuff where the Texas Workforce talked to them about after college opportunities for them. So it was really well presented and received, got great feedback both from students, but then also the businesses and the Texas Workforce partners.
Okay, and the high school also has their junior bank awards, which we've had for a while, but it's a good opportunity for students to participate in that. Progress Measure 3 is De Leon ISD will provide resources and facilities that enhance learning in a safe environment. Of course, we have the new fencing at the secondary campuses and the football field, the glass film at the entrances to all campuses. Perkins Middle School and the elementary both have the doorbell system now so that people can ring the little doorbell and get let in. Our classroom doors remain locked when students are in classrooms. We implemented the Guardian program. They also came on campus and gave us pointers, as well as just having our staff armed. And then Perkins Middle School got the updated office, which is definitely safer than it was last year, where you could just walk in and walk down the hallway. And we have the new hallway added for the 7th and 8th graders, and both of those hallway doors are fobbed down, which makes it a lot nicer, easier. So, that's good.
Thank you all.
What do you think your curriculum?
I got a few band things, if that's all right, I'll be real quick, I promise. The 15th is our band concert, 6 o'clock. I'd love to have you come up, we're gonna play 8 songs through the junior high, 5 with the high school. This Saturday, I take 13 students to Graham. We're gonna compete in individual competition. We go 1A to 4A for region band tryouts. This is an advancement. Zaylen made it to area last year, it was my only area. I have a really good feeling I should have about 4 going to area this year. We've got really kid work real hard. And then this Sunday, I have 3 kids in the Granbury Community Band with Miss McMeans, and they're going to perform a free concert at Granbury High School this Sunday. So pretty busy for us right now. We're just having a great time.
item 6.2, the TAPR report.
The testing, y'all get everything tonight about testing. As Lori was talking, the new test does start in the spring. We are testing at high school next week though. We're doing our December EOC retest. We have 9 students testing, English 1 biology, and we have 4 English 2. We are complete in US history and we're complete in algebra 1. So those students have been working very hard with the tutor there on campus. And so one set up today, he told his teacher, I'm nervous, but I'm gonna be okay, I'm ready, I'm ready. So that does begin, but last year we did do extremely well across the district. As a nation, if you saw reports, this is the lowest scores on the SAT in 30 years. So some scores are coming down. Texas is maintaining, and De Leon did extremely well last year. So much credit to the teachers who worked so hard, and the students and parents who help make sure that their kids are there and are at school as much as they can possibly be. Last year, we had 86% of our students were on the approaches level, and that was our 3rd grade all the way through our 11th grade students. We have 100% participation rate last year in testing. Every student in our district participated in state testing. Our parents are good about that too, and we may have them absent on other days, but really on state testing days, the kids are there. One new thing that came in on the online testing that I do like, if a student does get sick in the middle, we can pause the test. It will lock after 8 hours and they can't go back and do, but at least they have the opportunity to come back and finish, and they're not trying to sit there ill and finish. Cause one year I know I had a student that took like 2 questions, they got sick and just couldn't get well. There was nothing we could do. So that's a nice feature now. As far as our averages compared to the state, we were above the state average in every area and above the region 14 in every area. On approaches, when we move up to meets, we had 16 out of 20 that were above the state and region also. We know masters is the area that we are working toward. We're lower in that area, but we are working toward that, and that's when our teachers are looking at the data, that's what they're talking about. How do we move them up to the master's area? And so, when they're working on all of that, it's going to go into their SATs, their ACTs, it's gonna go into that TSI testing that we are working so hard on. So, very proud of our students and very proud of our teachers and our community. And I said the year that we came back in September, I really feel like rural schools carried the state of Texas, because we came back with our kids and we came back to work and we had our kids back in school. And, they work very hard to do a good job, and I know they want to please the teachers, and so, but I'll be the first to say it is stressful. Ms. Job and I watched a webinar the other day on new test questions, and it was intimidating for us. Tara called right after and said, oh my. As Ms. Walker was talking about, when teachers are trying to find things, this presenter told us it took them 4 hours to do 10 questions, to create the 10 questions. There are new things coming out there. They're trying to make it easier for them to be able to pull the questions, but it is still time consuming, and we've got to have them in there. I know we are doing interims at high school the 2nd week in December, because we do have state testing next week, and we're doing the next week. And I know elementary is set for January, I believe they're starting February sometime in there. Amherst Campus Middle School is participating in a new pilot program. It's testing throughout the year. We're doing 8th grade social studies. They are piloting this program to see if this is the future of the STAR testing. They will pilot it for 5 years and then take it to the legislature after that. And it's testing in November, February, and the end of the year. The first 2 would be very short tests, and then a little bit longer test in May, but they're going to have to determine, is it a summative score, or is it the formative test? How are you going to decide which test to use? So we're piloting on that, and we're just now getting results back in, and I know they're looking at those results to see how we are doing. And also a new change in the spring, time limits are gone. There are no time limits on STAR testing, so, they can be there all until they're ready to turn it in, so.
Well, don't parents have the option of not testing, and what happens if that, no, you can't say, I don't want my kid to
There
do
is
it.
not an opt-out
In high school,
in the
if you-
state of
in
Texas.
high school, they don't graduate.
They would not graduate, but we have had that discussion, we've closed off the TASB, questionnaire so that we have that for parents. But the thing is now, it's windows, they are back to windows, and we have almost a 2-week window on everything, and this year it's divided up. We're going to test with reading, ELA first, and then we have a window where it'll be all of our math, and then another window where it will be our social studies and science. We are testing in the district for about a month. There will be some type of testing going on almost every day. But with it being a window, you're gonna have to be absent those 2 weeks, because if you come, we're going to have you sit in front of that test and.
And it counts as,
And
if
and
you
yeah,
don't take it,
yeah,
it
that
counts
counts
as a fail.
It's a fail.
And then they have to.
'Cause I'll have
make
to
up
go
all
in
these
and-
hours.
Yeah, we'll have to mark score on it. So, yes, we pulled off all the things already, because we've had that question.
The state's done a good job of taking that loophole out with the windows and then also the accelerated instruction. The accelerated instruction's a great thing. A kid doesn't take the test, doesn't pass the test, they gotta do 30 hours of accelerated instruction before they take it again.
And if you're an 8th grader, you take 4, that's 120.
And it can't,
Live
if,
at school.
yes, if you do not, because if you fail it, if you won't take it, and we have to go in and mark S for score, then you've got 30 hours.
Is that just a public school thing?
If you're at a private school, now some private schools do use STAR testing, but most do not, so anyway, we've done very well, and we're very pleased, and we'll be geared up, getting ready to train the teachers on all the new things, but I do feel like we are fortunate that we have been doing it for 2 years, because there are some in our area that this is their first year, and the only way you can have a paper copy, it would be very difficult to justify, because when you're on the computer at school doing, then they're saying you can do it on the.
Are people not though like pen and paper anymore? I mean, like, do they not, cause that's how, yeah, it's sad.
I do, but that's, because they said.
Well,
Some,
Okay.
you know, cause they do teach them all these different ways, and there's some people, that's still how they go.
They're just saving lots of money.
Are you though?
I'm a paper pencil, I still
I'm a
print,
paper pencil.
I still print mine on stuff.
I do too, everybody knows I'm a paper pencil.
Have they given
Yeah.
an idea of how long it will take to get score results back?
Oh, yes, let me
That
just say
stories
this,
to-
okay,
On
on grades,
and
yes.
on.
On grades 3 through 8, we will not have scores until August, actual scores. We are going to get an early score, I think it may be about the first week in June, and all it's gonna tell us is kind of a raw score and saying, you probably didn't pass, if your students are here, probably approaches here. But as far as now, high school will receive ours, but elementary, middle school will actually not receive scores until August. So it's not going to be.
But it's not gonna be more difficult.
No, the commissioner has said it is not, he had a little balance scales, and he put all the little eggs in one basket and eggs in another, and showed how it was all balancing out, and that it's the same, but the format is going to be, and some things they're asking, like, the question we had was come up with an experiment, so you had to just pull out an experiment after you read something, and write it out, and how you would do it. And so, it is gonna be, because of those of you who remember short answer on English, you probably had that. You know, we always struggled scoring well on those short answer, we could do better on the longer essays. So, it's going to be keeping the kids motivated and their stamina, and not giving up. Lots of stamina, it is, and kids do not, because TSI testing this morning, after about an hour and a half, 2 hours maximum.
Less than 2
Even
minutes.
high school, I mean, they're done, and we break that into sections because we can pause it and say then finish later, I don't make them do it all.
The test
in one day.
requires you to think a lot.
Yes, and
It's
it's
no
hard
longer
for them.
read and just pick the answer that's best, it now requires the student to do a lot of thinking. So, it's not hard.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Nowlin, if you'll notice, those were switched on our cheat
I
sheet.
fixed them.
Okay.
I did. Got it.
There,
For my signature.
I'm in order.
I'm sorry.
I'm good.
no, it's fine, I was just making sure we made that note. So now we will do six three, which is facility.
Okay, I will tell y'all that the, egg barn is coming along. We actually have 2 pigs in
So
residence.
you have animals in there now.
We do. And, could have had them sooner, but those stalls weren't finished. So there is gonna be a demand for it. The walls are for the restroom areas are in, and when we get them painted, then we can put the fixtures in, and they'll actually be working bathrooms, the plumbing is finished. We're waiting on the city to hook the sewer up, and, for the Atmos Energy to hook up the gas. So it's coming along. The wall packs, the HVAC wall packs are all in except for 2 that parts were damaged, and we did get the parts this past week, and so we'll be putting those parts in those that were damaged, and they'll all be finished. The fencing is all finished except there's a gap where we need to build a gate at the very back of the practice field. And, softball, baseball field project is complete, and, the coaches have told me they love it, so that's good. And elementary intercom, it's working, right? But we haven't added the speakers where we needed some.
There were some, the restrooms were an issue.
Yeah, and so I think he's ordered some stuff so that if you happen to be in the restroom, you could hear the intercom if there was a fire drill or something. So, yeah, everything's going very, very, very well.
This is a side note, but the fence made me think of it. I don't know who all was on here whenever the city came and did their spiel to get that land and do the rock pickup. I could be crazy, but what I remember is them having concrete poured along that with bench covered sitting areas.
Up on that burn,
Mhm.
It's supposed to be a park.
That's what I would
It
remember.
was traded with, the park, the big park, the community park, they had to move the fencing to the north there when they did the road expansion.
Okay,
And so the state of Texas requires, the city, even if the state of Texas takes your parkland, it requires the city to go out and find more parkland. And so their answer to that parkland was to turn that retaining pond that they built into a park.
yeah, I noticed, but that's not.
And I don't know the letters.
I just thought of it the other day, cause they were supposed to have sitting areas and concrete all along there.
So, yes, you are correct.
but you notice that the retaining wall is not there for us. Football doing it, our parking lot, and that's supposed to have a retaining wall. So they're obviously just not finished.
Okay.
We'll go with that.
Well,
You
we
can call
had some,
you can call David.
we had some discussions about the retaining wall.
You
They wanted just to slope it and let us mow it, and I said, no, the dirt will wash down, and then a lot of my people have pickup trucks that are four-wheel drive, and they'll just drive off it from the parking lot right down into the street, and it'll be chaos at the end of a football game. We have to have a wall there, so we won't have everybody going out into the street. He finally agreed with me, but he hasn't started my retaining wall yet, so I will be back to it. But he promised that he'd do it, and David White was with me when he promised, so I do have a witness.
I don't guess I'm concerned with
Yeah, but
Just-
thank
that's
you
what
for
I
reminding me of
remember.
that, I'll
Yeah.
talk to him about my park
That's
benches
not
too.
what we did, yeah.
But I know that the retaining pond is different than what it initially started as too. So that even the plan for that is not what it was when they started the project.
And they may have taken that out, it's just something I thought of, well, they didn't do what they said they were gonna do.
There are differences. So I don't know.
Okay. Item 6.4, safety audit update.
We had our safety security meeting on that Thursday before Thanksgiving, and November 17th, and our agenda is centered around the multi-hazard emergency operations plans. When we sent it into the state of Texas School Safety Center, they rejected ours and gave us 3 parts that we needed to take care of. One was the basic plan, the one was the active threat annex, and the other was the active shooter appendix. So thank you, Ms. Nallen, for sitting hours and hours with me, trying to figure out exactly what they wanted. We got it all submitted before we went to Thanksgiving, turned on the emails today, and they took one of them and sent the other 2 back and said, we need you to update these other 2. One of them just has one, and it's a special needs population. What will we do in case of emergency with our special needs students? That one should be relatively easy to get back to them. The other one has 25 questions that we need to go through and work her through. And so I have a date at 9:30 a Wednesday with some special person to work through that one as well. But I just can't thank her enough for the help she's given me to read through exactly what they want. I don't always understand what they're asking. And so that's why I collected those notebooks from you, but you're not gonna get them back until we get it right. Otherwise, we're just gonna take them back up and do them again and again and again and again. So we just wanna make sure we get everything right before we get them all back out.
The big basic plan is correct.
Yes.
It was all
And it
correct.
was
So
really
we're
big.
good with that.
The basic
It was
plan
these
was
2 little
40-something
annexes.
pages long, so, and then we're really happy with that. In the basic plan, kind of refers down to that 7.9 down here that we'll go into later is the NIMS. They suggested that whoever's going to be an incident commander or any emergency situation, that we need to be a part of the NIMS system. It's what the fire department uses, it's what the sheriff's department uses, highway patrol, city police, or any emergency personnel, emergency management. And so it's just a central language that they use, and I'm gonna go through all the trainings. Dr. Merville's gonna go through them with me as well. We'll encourage everybody to do them that's on the committees that would like to do those. There's gonna be 6 of them, NIMS training, and they are all online, so we can get those taken care of. That way, if something truly does happen and we have to get emergency personnel here, we'll be able to use their terminology along with them. So that's what that part of that is. So, but other than the hours and hours on the notebook and having a heart broken this morning, we're doing pretty good other than that. Told Mr. Chaplin, I said, what a way to start the morning this morning, I'm growling.
Perfect, thank you, sir.
Yes.
6.5 is discussion of the team of 8.
I included the paperwork for the Team of 8 study. This is the time of year that we get to look at ourselves to see how well we're doing as a team of 8 and how we work together. Each member is encouraged to complete it, give it back to, send it back to your board president, and he'll combine it, and then at our next board meeting, discuss where we feel that we're the strongest, we're the weakest, or what we need to do to improve as a team. So this is something that's always useful to look at ourselves and see how well we think we're doing. So I didn't give you an extra copy. You can just tear this one out, or if you want one, I'll email it to you. But anyway, it's fairly straightforward.
Any questions on that? If not, we'll move to 6.6, discussion regarding the timeline for board packet distribution. Do you have any thoughts on that?
It was really, really nice to get the board packet a week ahead of time, so it could really look at what was there. I don't know that a week ahead of time is necessary, but a few days more than getting it on Friday before we meet on Monday. I know the board agenda may not be finished, but there'll be things in there that if we need to think about things, I'm a think about it person, and I need a little more time.
It's truly not a problem, it's just how it was, you hate to say that's how it was being done when I got here. But, I'm glad you brought that up. Sometimes the agenda is not finished, and, just like the healthcare, she came in about 5 o'clock Friday. I mean, everybody had gone home because we had early dismissal, and I thought I needed to stay, it was probably like 5, it was 4. Anyway, it was getting late, and, so that was already on the agenda, but the paperwork for it, you didn't get until I emailed it separately. Sometimes we add things till the very last minute, but,
That's fine, but anything you have ahead of time.
yeah.
Especially if it's like something that, where there's
Not a
gonna
problem.
be discussion or something like that way we can actually know.
It's
what we're
truly
doing.
not a problem, I'll just put it on my calendar to do it at a different time. Normally, in most school districts, they have a secretary the superintendent secretary takes care of this, and that's a position we did away with right after I got here, so that's why sometimes it's not always perfect, cause I do it. And I don't think y'all hired me for my secretarial skills, but I do not mind doing it. I kinda like doing it because once I do it, even though I do sometimes get them out of order, I've kinda internalized it, and so if something is left off, I usually find it out, so would you suggest like Wednesday before?
Sure, that would be
Okay,
preferable.
hey, it's not a problem, be the same amount, except for maybe
Well,
I might have to
anything else.
send you an updated agenda.
Yeah.
I won't post it until that Friday, because, that'll give us time to post the agenda, but I'll try to send the packet out on Wednesdays.
Well, as much of it as you can, just so we have a little bit of extra
And
time.
not a problem, don't mind at all.
Everybody good?
And the reason we got it a week early this time is because we weren't here this week.
It was really nice.
Okay. We'll move into our action items then. First one being consideration approval of donations and gifts to the district.
This is actually, after the fact, but Hotelcom came and, dug a 100-foot trench for us for our new livestock facility for our water line. They're always so good to respond to us, and I would ask you to approve this donation of labor and equipment.
I make a motion to approve Total Comms labor and equipment.
Yeah, I got it down now.
Yeah.
We have a motion by Rachel for approval. We have a second. Second. Second by Heath. All those in favor? Motion passes 7.2 would be recommendation of approval to call a board election for May the 6th, 2023.
It's that time of year, I have been in touch with, people at the courthouse, and these are the dates, when we would call the election, when to file, like I said, already, I believe that Mr. Mahan, Carrie, you're up, right?
And I think we have a.
And then the vacant
Yeah,
spot
spot that
that Craig had said he won't run again, but he could.
I could.
Well, we have to do it, so
Yeah.
we just have to have a motion.
I'll second.
A motion by Craig and a second by Terrell. Approve board election on May the 6th. All those in favor? passes 7-0. 7.3 is a recommendation to cancel the December board meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you so much.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Carrie and a second by Cecilia for cancellation of the December board meeting. All those in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
Does that mean that January's is extra long?
It probably will be. Actually, January is when our audit is reported. So,
Yes.
7.4, recommendation of approval of the application to modify the schedule for state assessment testing.
We did this last year.
Mhm.
We filed for a waiver. It's just because it takes every teacher available to do the testing at the high school with the small groups and maybe the middle school also. And, this just allows the students that are not testing to stay off campus until noon and come in at noon. We just have to file a waiver. It's automatically approved, but it has to go through the board first.
I so moved.
Well, they thank you.
We have a motion by Cecilia and a second by Carrie for approval to modify the schedule for state testing. All those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. 7.5 is the consideration of partnership with CCMC for telehealth services. I'll throw my 2 cents out. I think it's great, but I don't know. I'm not a go to the doctor type person, but, no. If it helps teachers or kids not have to go, I think it's good. I don't know.
So any individual could choose not to use it if they wanted to, correct?
My personal opinion is that it's just another tool to be able to offer people. It's not like everybody has to do it, it's an opt-in. If you want to, you want to. The school is not charging, it has nothing to do with us like collecting payments. So as long as you feel like your personnel can handle the 10, 15 minutes it'll take the nurse or whomever to run the equipment.
I do think it'd be nice if they provided a little stipend for Megan, because she is gonna have to do, she'll still have to do all the paperwork and stuff that she normally does after school, you know, after kids go home and everything, and I just think it would be a nice thing, and she's not paid at the same level teachers are anyway, and so I think it would be helpful if she does, and if she has to go back over to the middle school, go to the high school. There's a sick kid waiting for her at the elementary, so it's a little stressful at times.
I was thinking about that when you were talking about it, and I didn't expect her to just step up to the plate and say, yes, we'll do that, but maybe that's something you have to build a baseline of. On average, we have this many kids doing it,
that's what
on
I
average,
thought.
I'm spending this much time, and then you have a
Yeah.
case to go back to and say, we're spending this much time to get you business.
Right.
Right, help us
Because
out.
they are in charge,
Yes.
we are.
But I don't know that we can stand on
think-
that until we know.
No, I think it would be better to say, if you had this many that used it, then it would be whatever. And just let them, let that be between them and her, not us.
I don't know how many.
Say it,
Lori.
Okay, the only concern that I have with that, I think is a wonderful idea. There are children that don't really have the support to go to the doctor and maybe sick for days and, you know, so I think it's a wonderful thing. The only issue I have when she said we have one bag, there's no way that Megan can be on all 3 campuses. These 2 can already tell you there are many times, like, we are swamped at the elementary. And we have twice as many students as the other campuses, and we also have the sickest. So So it's just a lot, and I don't know, obviously she said you do not have to be a nurse to do it. I feel like there needs to be training on each of the campuses, and each campus needs their own.
On bag.
On bag.
That
And I was
was
gonna
good.
ask,
Didn't she mention we could get that?
Yeah, she did say
Or
we
something
could.
could-
She had just the one, but she did act like they could. I just feel like, because here's the other side of that. A child comes in sick, parent wants them to do this. I don't feel comfortable sending the child back to class until they are seen. I don't know what they have. So where's that child going to go? They're going to have to sit, again, something else to monitor while they're waiting on someone to assess them. Again, it's just a time issue, something, but I don't see how that would work if you don't have one on each campus.
So the way I read the verbiage of this agreement, it doesn't limit it, it just says they agree to provide all equipment and software necessary. So I don't see it being an issue if we stipulate on there,
We'll do it with.
Fine.
with bags.
but we need equipment at all three campuses.
Right, or you could, I mean, I guess you could say we're just gonna start with the elementary
That's
first.
stated in here,
to
yeah, that's
see.
stated in here.
You know, if we only have one bag, the nurse is there, and you can't get us bags at the other places, then this is where we would be able to offer the service.
Those are the things I can talk with her about.
She said your kids to your campus for.
You said, "Come on."
Y'all just drive them over.
Well, I know that.
Nowhere in here does it state.
I know that there was one day recently that Betty was gone,
No, right here.
Megan had sick kids there, and Ben needed her, and when it was like, there's just one person.
So it just states on here that the ISD shall provide school nurse and/or other qualified personnel to operate the equipment.
So it's just a train.
Yeah, it would be training.
And it says that they will provide all the training, so.
There's literally nothing to it, I mean, there really isn't, it does it basically all for you, those kinds of things.
And she demonstrated, it was, I mean, it really is neat, I mean, and I do think it is a wonderful service.
I just feel like there would be kids that use it that might not go.
I think there are teachers that'll use it.
I think so too.
I think I'll use it because there's times when I really would like to go to the doctor, but I don't wanna go out there and sit for 10 hours. And, hey, someone can use it, work on it. Not be a shorter wait time. But no, I do, I think
Like
it'll
they
be,
test for flu, strep,
can we work out the minor details and,
so it's all in the back.
Yeah.
They provide all that.
go ahead and get them rolling?
what if we table it until we,
Let's see, that'd be till January.
well, they're probably not gonna get it till then anyway.
I mean, I think you can make, if you want, if you choose to, you could make the motion to agree into it under the stipulation that they provide equipment for three campuses. I don't see that as an issue. But the motion has to be stated that way.
Anything else other than that we think needs to be included? It's already clarified the point that I made, so that's covered, that as long as you're trained, you do not have to be a nurse, but you have to be trained, and they'll provide the training. Anything else that we can think of?
I would just wanna make sure that whatever the consent form is, that it says that if there's a minor, that the parent is present, because, you know, I mean, that's practice.
Well, when she talked to us, she said that, didn't she?
She said she would hope.
Recommend-
Yes.
She recommended.
They don't, the parent has to be notified, but they can opt out, say, no, do whatever, I'm not, which,
But
that will
that's
happen.
the parent giving
But the
consent.
parent gives the consent, so they will be, they can. The way I understand it, the parent can get on their phone, and if they're at work or whatever, they can get on the phone and be present virtually. That's the way I understood it.
Well, I don't think they can do anything with a kid without some type of consent. This is not giving them consent to do anything.
They're gonna have to obtain some type of.
Yeah,
Yeah, like in the packets that, 1,000 papers we have to sign, there's a thing that
Yeah, I don't
says-
know, but I mean, nothing in this verbiage states any of that. That would be a
The 20 minute.
client option, whatever.
Yeah, they did on file.
The HIPAA,
fall on us.
I just, yeah, I mean, but you know how,
Yeah,
and then like, they had that doctor up there and they did this and I didn't say it was okay, even though, and then we can't comment on whether we said it.
but I believe that falls on CCMC. If
Should,
something happens,
except that it was done at the school. I'm just like thinking of all the different ways that somebody could write
That
about
package,
stuff.
the packet that we send out where they do the consent can have the little verbiage that says the
Yes.
Senate way.
Yes, the school has nothing to do with.
yeah, I agree.
They don't sign it, then they don't do it anyway.
Well, even with the signed consent, we would call the parent and say,
But you're calling them anyway,
Yes.
right now, I would think.
From a legal standpoint, you can be, you would, I think you would be covered, as long as it's clearly stated. I'm not a lawyer either. So, it's up to you.
I'll make a motion to enter into an agreement with CCMC for telehealth with the understanding, that's a better word than I was thinking. Of 3 bags and 3, at minimum of 3 trained professionals one on each campus. And some added verbiage in the consent information for the parents to protect the ISD.
Okay. When she does that consent form, I will scan it and send it out to you all so you can look at it. And you can tell me things that you see that might make it better.
I'll second.
I wrote it down. It's on video. So I have a motion by Heath for approval, provided, a minimum of 3 trained people and equipment on each campus. And I have a second by Terrell. All those in favor? You in, Heath?
I'm in.
Alright. You made the motion, I'm hoping you're ready.
Well, I was sitting there thinking about it, the way that was read back and making sure that,
That's where I wrote it.
no, you're good.
Motion
slow
passes
today.
7-0. 7.6. Resolution to amend the DISD 403B retirement plan.
Back in 2009, which is before most of us were here, and I guess everybody on the board, but anyway, there was a retirement plan, approved by the board. It has come to our attention that the resolution to amend it was never put in place, so that people could have emergencies and hardship withdrawals. And that, the reason it came to light is we had someone who needed to make a withdrawal, and they said that the board had never approved it, so that it was not legal. So in order for this employee to be able to take money out of his or her retirement account, this has to be approved, and then they can do
And
it.
beyond that, it's governed by the
Yeah.
IRS, right?
And we're wanting it to be effective on January 1st, 2020.
Yes. Either it was not approved then, or somebody lost it in the mail. They have nothing on, the company has nothing on record.
It's a very standard option
Yes.
for retirement plans.
Yeah, they just said, they just needed paperwork.
At least from my experience, it's very standard.
Yep.
money.
There's their
money.
money. Why are we making it effective?
Yeah, that's
So
what
January
they
our,
don't have, so they don't have to wait 6 months. Like, this is what the retirement plan people sent to me, that they
Is it
don't,
supposed to say 2020 or is it supposed to say 2022?
no, it's supposed to say 2020,
We're going back and,
because that's when they should have done it for some reason, but they didn't. This is what they sent us.
that's
We
the only
wait
part
to-
that's strange to me, like, so how would you make that motion even? To retroactively,
yeah, to January first, 2020.
so anybody that in 2020 wanted to get their money out,
They could have,
Could have.
but they wouldn't because it's already passed.
okay.
But there's a,
I mean, I think you can make it effective
Today,
immediately.
yeah,
well, yes, it is effective, but it is effective immediately if you sign it.
I agree, I mean, I don't, to me, that
The
historical
2020,
date is
yeah, I don't know.
it's
This
neither
is,
here nor there, cause you
this
can't
is
go
just
back.
what they sent us.
Well, I don't know, that's one of those, I don't know that
If I could go back. and-
I can vote on this at 2020 because I wasn't on the board.
I mean, I would make a motion to make it effective today if that matters,
But
but
the
that's
date
how
of
this is.
the date we're doing it is today's date.
But you retroactively make it effective even though no one can use it
And it's
for
irrelevant.
2 years?
It really is irrelevant.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Make the motion effective today and then can pencil in.
I think the intent, right, is whatever employees needing to use it, we can't make it January 1, 2023, then they can't utilize it. So, whether it's today or 20.
I mean, I could go January 1st, 2022.
Okay, whatever y'all wanna make a motion as.
It's semantics if you ask me.
Yes.
So,
This is,
anything prior to today is not
It's
applicable, so.
Yeah.
I don't need to, like I said, this is what they sent me.
So however y'all wanna word it, or. Don't everybody talk at once.
Well, I think that what, am I correct in saying that on January 1st, 2020, this became legal?
Right, that's when it was effective.
That's when the rule was that you could withdraw it. but
Give us a
not-
blank to put the date right here,
Yeah,
We just never did it.
so we make it.
The IRS made it available.
It was available then, we just
Okay.
never voted on it.
yeah,
That's what I think.
that's what I think.
It's still irrelevant.
Yeah,
Just,
I say we have today's date, they
Right.
have the blank right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, that's what
That's
you
what it
can
looks
do.
like.
That's all you can do.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, we just have to do.
That we adopt it
Today.
as of today.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I'll make the motion that we adopt it as of today.
Yeah.
And I second it.
thank you so much.
I want you to be able to have access to your
This
own
TV
money
is being
whenever
very
you want.
effective.
Feeling
That was what the person that needed it, said, it's my money, and,
Yeah.
but they won't let them have it.
Okay. We have a motion by Rachel to approve effective as of today's date, and a second by Terrell. All those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. 7.7 is waiver for participation in summer feeding.
We've done this before, we've asked for a waiver not to offer summer feeding, it's just not beneficial, we don't have anyone that takes advantage of it. So we prepare food and it's very wasteful and expensive and people don't come get it, so.
We've done this for
Yeah.
several years in a row now.
I'll make the motion that we
like a waiver or whatever we need to. Oh.
We have a motion by Terrell and a second by Carrie to approve requesting a waiver for participation in summer team. All those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. 7.8 is recommendation of a nominee for Erath County Appraisal District. And we struggle with this every year.
For all three districts, because we're in three districts, I believe we have 40 voters out of Erath County, something like that.
Very small number.
Very small number, we can just do nothing.
What we do last
I think we
did
nothing, yeah.
It's, you have to have a representative of that 40 people willing to do it.
Didn't I read it, Dana Proctor?
Dana Proctor is, she is now, and she can be reappointed.
Okay. So do we say that, or we just say, okay?
You can do either. She's a representative now. We can approve her, whether she chooses to do it or not is on her, but
I think she said she would.
by her name, just us saying we would stand behind that if she does.
I move that we approve the nominee for the Erath County Appraisal District Board.
As Dana Proctor,
Yes, Dana Proctor or
okay. A motion by Cecilia as stated, do I have a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Tara. All those in favor? Motion passes 7.9 is the adoption of the National Incident Management System that
I'll make a
Heather
motion.
was referring to.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we follow the NIMS.
I'll second.
A motion by Rachel for approval, and second by Cecilia. All those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Okay. I don't have the board ready, but with request to go into this. I think we have to go in, we have to vote to go into it.
She just asked to go in.